All right, we're live.
Okay. Yay. Here we are.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you on this hot Wednesday. Oh my goodness, it is so hot outside.
It is ridiculous.
I'm just always thankful for air conditioning on days like today. So,
Yeah, I actually have a sweater on inside. And I went to the store earlier and got out of the car with the sweater on. I'm like, what am I doing?
yeah, absolutely. It's horrible. So,
Yeah.
I hope you're staying cool or at least drinking lots of lemonade or iced tea and getting some refreshment in you. So this week's movie is Ready Player One, and Barb is calling it the weird movie. So right up front, just so you know, this is a PG-13 movie, so parents be advised. And for those of you who may be new to Ready Player One, it's a different kind of genre because it is a post-apocalyptic movie, and it is one that's based on a book that was written for young adults. So teenagers and young adults, this is kind of their area. We're hoping that you're tuning in to talk about this or hear what we're thinking about it. Would love to hear teenagers and young adults, especially, like, where did this really speak to you in your faith? Because you can teach us a lot as we go forward. I'm a personal fan of young adult novels anyway, and I haven't read this one, but my son has read it and loved it. We watched the movies with them a couple of months ago, this movie, and they loved it as well. So I know it hits good with the teenage crowd. I don't know how it's going to fit for some others. So that's part of, like, expanding our world. So
My world was expanded. Let me just say that. Oh gosh, I actually wrote down some notes, and of course now I can't find them. But one of the things I said was teenagers and boys probably love this movie. But then I thought of my granddaughter who loves gaming, age appropriate.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I can't play video games because I get vertigo.
Oh, yeah.
Motion sickness.
Yes.
So about the first 3 minutes, I thought, am I even going to be able to watch this movie?
Oh gosh, yes.
But I got through.
It's an interesting movie. The way that it's filmed. So the movie is about, again, in the future, Earth has had a lot of problems. The United States has suffered. And so it actually takes place in Columbus, Ohio. And I think it's like 2045. Did it look just like home to you?
No. In fact, I kept thinking, how did Columbus, Ohio get to be the center of the universe? So
Right. It's directed by Steven Spielberg, so it has some Spielberg feel to it as far as it's an action movie. It goes in between virtual world, which is called the Oasis, and then the real world, which is just a mess. And people are wanting to escape the mess. And so everything for them is online. They just tune in and they can, they make money there. They can have an avatar, their character that looks a certain way, so they can be anybody that they want to. And they can do pretty much anything in this virtual world, except for be virtual with other people. So it's this really interesting dynamic. I don't know. There's days where I want to escape to virtual land.
Yeah, I guess so. But my virtual land would look like, so maybe that's the point. You can create the virtual land you want. I want that, crystal clear blue water on the white sands, and a nice beach chair, and nobody else around except the person that brings me my drinks.
Yeah.
And a good book.
I bet you could find that space in the Oasis, definitely. So, so the interesting part about this is that in the Oasis, the creator of it, whose name is James Halliday, so he'd be like our Zuckerberg, but wider. and he created this whole space for people. It's kind of this own universe, but in it he has hidden a couple of keys, like 3 keys. They call it the Easter egg, and whoever finds these 3 keys and solves his kind of puzzles, riddles, gaming world stuff, gets to have control over the entire oasis, which is a huge moneymaker. That is where commerce is happening. And so it's this interesting society of the individual gamers who are just trying to kind of find the keys, and they're kind of having fun with it, but they also, like, they're dreaming like mansion and stuff. And then you have this organization, the IOI, that is wanting to get this solved and have control over the oasis, because they see it as a way to make money and to kind of take advantage of people. So
yeah, and they're actually already doing that.
yes,
and they're just trying to increase their hold on society and people, because they have them indentured through debt that they owe them, and they keep doing things to increase the debt. So it doesn't matter. There's no real escape once you're in their clutches, so to speak. Yeah.
So there's definitely this good versus evil right off the bat.
Yeah.
Piece going.
Yeah, I saw, as far as the game, the virtual game world, and of course I'm talking about this as a person who never plays video games, but I did see this movement from contest to conquest to quest, and so it's there's this change of, I guess, perspective, particularly in the character of Z, where he moves from using this as escapism to but trying to figure out the clues. That's really important. And so he's done all this back work, and then at some point it really shifts for him, and I think that shift is after he finds that first key and realizes this is much bigger than just winning the Easter egg. For me, one of my favorite, I guess, areas of the virtual world was when they would go to Halliday's journals and be able to pull out a day and a time from the game creator's past, and just stand there and analyze this past experience, not only to look for clues, but they're finding out things about themselves in the process. So my actually the curator's my favorite character of the whole movie. So yeah,
it's fun because you're seeing these everyday moments in James Halliday's life through his journals, and there's these little clues that are embedded in it, but also this humanity that you see within him of his own personal struggle of what's important. Why do I've created this, but what is it about? What is really at the heart of who I am? And so it's really interesting. And I was thinking about, like, gosh, if you videoed my personal journals, like, we could go back to, I don't think you'd want to pull out my everyday stuff. So
particularly from the time that I was, 17, 18, 19, I frankly, if I went back and looked at that would be pretty painful for me.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was really interesting. And the hard part for me watching the movie, and this has nothing to do with theme or where do we see God in this, there's so much action, it's distracting to the plot.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a high action, high intense movie. I have to say I understood it better the second time I've watched it, because I watched it with my boys, like I said, months ago. So watching it, coming back to it again, and kind of knowing the plot helped me to be able to kind of dissect it a little bit better. So
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
is one of those movies. So when you're thinking about this high action, high intense movie, so what was a theme, or where did you see God in it, or did you? I mean, it's okay to be like, no, I didn't see God in that at all.
Well, I really have to look hard. Uh, I think a couple of things for me that certainly the power of community,
Yeah,
and you see this movement as this friendship forms not only with Z and the girl, I can't remember her name,
Artemis.
Artemis, but with the other three as well, and how they've known each other in the virtual world and they now meet each other in the real world. And that when they meet each other in the real world, what they find is there's so much more depth to a person than what it seems on the surface.
Yeah.
So having the opportunity and taking the time to move deeper. I think the other thing that was redeeming for me was when at the end of the movie, when everything is complete, um, the realization by Z and Artemis and the team really that 2 days a week Oasis needs to close down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, there's something to be gained from not spending your whole time in fantasy.
Yeah.
That real life happens not with a visor around your head.
Well, and I think you kind of go into like you were able to be masked, wear a mask in that virtual world, so you could hide who you were. I mean, you're told not to even say your first name, so you
Yeah.
even have a different name, right? But there, like you said, there's something that was powerful about coming out and meeting each other in the real world and seeing each other for who they are. I mean, they've got one of these characters who they've been working with all the time, and he turns out to be this 11-year-old boy. But just being able to embrace, like, yeah, I'm 11 and I'm here to help. I'm powerful too. Like, I think sometimes we get so caught up in hiding behind that virtual
Mm-hmm.
whatever put in front of us that we forget that there's power in who we are. It's important in who we are. So I kind of saw that as well when they came together, and just being able to actually realize and see each other for who we are, and to be accepted in that too. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's not who I pictured. You are this guy, this huge guy in this, and you end up being this woman, who's a 30-year-old. Like it's interesting to see that shift. So
Yeah, it is. And in some ways see the multiple uh, aspects of self,
mhm.
how we see ourselves, define ourselves, or would like to, which you have that opportunity in the virtual world to create an avatar that you want to project out
Yeah.
versus who you think you really are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, yeah, that was really interesting. For me also, let's see, I wrote down, the three challenges of finding the keys and moving closer and closer to really the secret that's going to unlock everything. There's such ancient literature overtones in that. How many of the ancient Greek mythologies are they on a quest
Mhm.
seeking to learn the hidden knowledge, and what's going to be revealed at the end. So I saw more of that kind of thing for me was really spoke to me. I did see that you've picked Romans to preach from and First Peter. So it'd be interesting how the
We'll see if I
reflect.
stick with that, right? It's Wednesday, so.
Yeah, so it's not there yet, Barb.
Well, I think for me, like where I mean, there's definitely that overtone of reality versus the fake or virtual. I mean, we live in that society now of where we can be online and we have virtual personas, online personas, that may or may not be really realistic of who we are. You know, I hear a lot of parents talk about, they only post pictures of the good stuff in their lives, and they really like to post, they really would love to see people who are real. And if you follow me on Facebook, you know, like, I was just talking to some of our preschool teachers. What you see with my family is what you get. So if I'm having a bad parenting day, you're probably going to see a post about how great this kid is, with a huge, heavy part of sarcasm. Because it's really easy for us to put that fake persona out to the world. Like, everything's okay, we're okay. And it makes the rest of us feel like, what's wrong with me? Why are my kids acting up so much? Why can't I figure out faith in this dark time? Like, all these other people are strong and, you know, and able to really draw from that. But what's wrong with me? So there's definitely that huge part of, like, reality is really key for us, and being authentic and who we are is so important, especially not just for us because it frees us, but also to kind of help the people around us and support them and let them know it's okay to be themselves too. So there's definitely that. But the other part that really stuck with me was the community aspect of working together for a common goal. And you know, obviously they're fighting the evil of this corporation, but they all bring their own gifts and strengths as they are battling together. And sometimes they have to go it alone, kind of like our movie last week with Elsa and Anna having to split. But working together gives them courage, it gives them strength, and really teamwork. We're seeing it in the Olympics. That is really key and crucial in carrying us through hard times and helping us get to that finish line. You know, we talk about sanctification and then perfecting grace, right? So we're all moving towards this goal of being perfected in God, and we do that better when we're in community as well. So
yeah, good point. You know, we can create our own avatars with, we can Photoshop ourselves into perfection, at least physically, how we look. And that's not a real representation of us in terms of how we look. I'm thinking also, because it's current events and on the forefront with the Olympics, with Simone Biles and her dropping out, and you know, the pushback from some directions that you let your team down, this, that, or the other, which, you know, I refuse to believe that, because I think what I saw was her team rally, because their leader just said, I can't do it. I put it in your hands. And nobody would understand that more than another gymnast or another swimmer or another person who has trained on something their entire lives and then says, no, the real me says, I got to step back. I got to step back. I know I'm not able to, I'm not able to really handle these kinds of gymnastic actions right now, and I don't want to hurt myself and
hurt the team in the process of that. Because if she would have continued going and fallen again and again and again,
right,
gosh, they could have lost a lot more. So
yeah, I thought it was great courage and strength, but most of all, when, you know, for those of us that sit out in armchair quarterback, it's real easy for us to say you should have done this or not done this, but we're just observing.
Yeah.
In an almost virtual way. We're not living the life of that gymnast. And it's really easy to use social media to do just that, and to really slice people into just one dimension.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I really, yeah, her story is really hitting hard with me this week as well. Just her courage and strength, and then her teammates of rallying around and going, "Yep, we're here, and
Yeah.
we are going to do what we know we can do." And that's going to help her as well, and it's going to carry us all through it. So
Yeah.
I think that is that's what teams do.
Yeah.
That's what good friends do. You might have a friend who's like really, really strong all the time for you, but there's going to be that one time where they can't be strong, and you're the one that has to be strong. And so that's part of that community piece as well, and building each other up in the body of Christ. We're taught that we're the body, we build each other up, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a very powerful story in that one for sure.
Well, and I think you're making a good point there, because part of the joy of gathering in community is to be able to support, surround, and lift people up. And I think for so many of us, that's what the opportunity of our faith fellowship does for us. In whatever manner you meet, there's a surrounding and a supporting that happens. I think that happens in marriages too. I think there's sometimes when one partner is at low ebb or struggling or has depression or whatever it might be, and the other is the one that steps in and says, "We're going to get through this. It's going to be okay."
Yep.
And we all need that support.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm focusing and thinking about with this movie. And so again, if it's not your cup of tea, it's okay. And it probably won't be, honestly, but it does reach a new demographic for us.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It reminds us that we have things to learn from the young as well as the old and all in between. And that's also part of being in community. And so I am just reflecting on some of those themes this week, and we'll see where we end up with on Sunday.
I'm looking forward to it. I think the other thing I wrote down was when they would visit Halliday's journals, which again was my favorite part, to gain clues. When we repeat past scenarios, where we can see where the smallest decision can impact the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so mindfulness is key. And it kind of made me think of last week with do the next right thing. When you're not sure, when you're in a moment where it's like, is this really a helpful decision? If we make the wrong choice, if we make the wrong decision, a lot of times we don't know it until we've passed by it. Sometimes we do know it in the moment, yeah. But as we pass by it, and I think, that's one of the things, again, I'm not a gamer person, but it seems to me that one of the things is, as you go through trying to get through these steps to the next level, whatever it might be, and that's how the movie starts, with Z figuring out from the clues that as everybody goes one way, he's going to go the other. Mm-hmm. And away from the crowd, he actually discovers the key. So there's some wisdom in that. Yeah. To sometimes leave the crowd behind. They're not necessarily leading you in the right direction. But also, as you try to go through a level over and over again, you realize these are the mistakes I keep making. I keep making these same mistakes over and over again. And when you become aware of the same mistakes that you keep making over and over again, it gives you the freedom to say, I don't have to make that mistake anymore. Even though maybe I've been conditioned in that way, now I'm free to go a different direction. And so there's some wisdom in that for sure.
Well, I was just thinking too, when you said that, going back to the journals, that's what we do every Sunday. We come we come back to worship and we remember the stories. We
Yeah.
remember who God is. We remember who we are. So it's this touch point too for us of remembering,
Yes.
of being refocusing, of coming back and going, what else is there here? There's more in this story that I'm missing. So what else can I learn? What else can I know about myself or about God or about community? Like what is there? So there's kind of that remembrance too pattern of,
Yeah.
because it helps us to know where we've gone wrong. It helps us, in being able to do self-reflection and mindfulness as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a wild ride, Cody.
wild ride. That's what we're kicking off August for. Oh my gosh, can you believe like this is going to be the first Sunday in August?
No, I don't. It's summer's going way too fast. Way too
So
fast.
fast. So
Yeah.
we hope that you enjoy the wild ride. If it's not your cup of tea, just wait till next week. There'll be a slower ride. Um, and
No.
and we want to highlight again Fun Fest for next week. So on the
Yes.
8th of August, make sure you put that on your calendar. One service,
10
cutting,
a.m.
and then a huge party afterwards. So with food and bounce houses and Kona ice and a foam pit type thing. I'm excited to see what that looks like. So we
And
hope
yeah, go ahead.
we hope to put that on your calendar and come and join community. Even
Yes.
if you can't come in the sanctuary because you're just not there yet, it's fine. Come outside and have fun with us. So.
And if you just have to be, I mean, if you're just kind of floating by us on Facebook and would love to join us for the party or worship or both, please come. We'd love to have you. 10 a.m. August 8th, not April, August 8th.
Did I say April again?
No, I did. I almost said, and the movie will be The Lion King. So that's a family favorite.
Yes. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, friends, we'll go back out into the heat or don't. Keep staying under that fan or air conditioning, and we will see you on Sunday.
Sunday. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.